Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Low Budget Time. Today we got two different watches to take a look at in the turtle style, so to speak. We have one that is actually a turtle. That's this guy right here. And then we have another one that is Steeldive's SD1977. I got two of these to look at. We're going to start off looking at the Seiko Turtle. The Seiko Turtle is actually it's an original design by Seiko. I think it's kind of like, when I think about how these watches wear, they kind of remind me of it's like a loose interpretation of a cushion case. At least that's how, when I wear it, excuse me, it's how I feel when I wear them. This watch I've had for about 5 years. It's brand new. It's just in my collection. I was into collecting different Seiko dive watches back around the pandemic. The job I had was just a lot of downtime, and I just was continually looking at watches, watching watch videos, which I don't recommend. I do recommend and I don't recommend, because if you have an addictive personality, watch collecting is probably one of those rabbit holes that you can just fall down, and unfortunately, it can get really expensive if you don't have a clear direction about what you want to collect. I think the first thing you need to figure out is, well, dive watches are probably the most versatile, and I would think the most designed and sold out of the watch market. If you think about watches, let's just talk about watches. Women's watches, they're all but, that's almost dead. I can't even tell you the last time I've seen a woman wear a watch. Next time you're out and about, take a look at what's on some women's wrists. Either you see a smart device, or you see they're just wearing jewelry like bracelets or whatever, but they're not wearing a watch. I ran into a woman one time who had a Rolex Ladies Datejust. That was really cool because she actually liked watches, and I talked to her for a little bit about it, and she was kind of appreciative that I noticed her watch, and I don't think a lot of people do, especially women. When a guy's wearing a watch, it's different. It's almost like part of the uniform as a man. There's a lot of people wearing smart devices and a traditional watch. I've seen people double wristed. So that's my early kind of thoughts on the Seiko Turtle. But since the Seiko Turtle came out, there was a mini turtle that was out for a little while. I think sometime around I want to say that was sometime in the 2020s, early 2020s, probably 2022, 2021, somewhere around there. Don't think about, bud. So yeah, it's that watch didn't run very long. I think they canceled it out, and right before I was going to buy one. So if you're looking at the bezel insert on this watch, yes, it's two different colors. I liked it. It has, I don't think it's a GMT bezel. I think it's just a combination of some blue and black. I kind of liked it, and this was actually the first watch I ever did a mod to, by way of changing out the bezel insert. I took the bezel off. By the way, you don't have to take the bezel off to change a bezel insert. You can do it very easily with 70% IPA. You basically, you soak the watch upside down in a shallow dish with just the bezel being soaked, and then you can, after it's been doing that for a while, you can just kind of like go against the click. So in this case, the click is counterclockwise. You'd be going clockwise to try to break the glue seal underneath. Once you've done that, you can pull up on it with an X-Acto knife lightly. And then this one had an aluminum insert. It was black when I bought it. So I don't even know where the hell that insert is now, but this is the way the watch has been since I modded it. And I literally modded this thing probably shortly after getting it. I liked it. I think the watch is really cool. And the bracelet, by the way, is not a Seiko bracelet. It is a Miltat Super Angus Jubilee. It's a kick-ass version. It's basically a a muscular version of the typical Jubilee. Miltat strap coat. I think strap coat is the distributor for Miltat. This is screw-in links. They happen to be 22 millimeters, but we'll talk about the specifications in just a moment. So yeah, watch wears really well. We're going to go through everything. We're going to talk about the specifications of this guy. Which SRPD number is this? I couldn't tell you. I tried to look it up. In fact, I was hoping there'd be something on the back side of the watch. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. In this case, there's a serial number back there, but it doesn't tell you. Basically, it's the Seiko Turtle. The specifications on this guy real quick, we'll get into that first, and then this way I don't lose sight of that. 45 millimeters is the case. That would be basically just, here to here without the crown measurement. And then the thickness on this guy is 13.2 millimeters. That's the height of from the case back to the top of the bezel. And the lug to lug, or lug tip to lug tip, would be here to here, and that's actually 47.7 millimeters. The weight on this, I think it's somewhere, if I had to guess, it's probably about a little over 100 grams, maybe 125, 130 with the bracelet. This came with a rubber strap, by the way. I was going to pull it out. If you've ever seen a Seiko rubber strap, they're pretty nice. They come with really nice keepers, a nice buckle, but I didn't pull that out for this video. But anyway, this is 200 meter water resistant. It's actually a certified, excuse me, it's not the PADI, but Seiko divers are certified. Once you're crossing the 200 meter range, they tend to certify their cases for diving. This is a diver's 200 meter. This is from the Prospex line. Yeah, so it says, divers 200. And the movement in this guy is I want to say 4R36. We'll talk more about the movements by way of comparison in a moment. The 4R36 is a day-date model. So you have your day of the week and then the actual day. The handset on this is typical Seiko syringe, hour hand, broad hour, minute, and a lollipop for the second, right? That's typical like SKX kinda thing. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this watch is still in production. I have a feeling it's in a different variation now. Probably would be like the King Turtle or something like that. The King Turtle basically gives you a little bit better spec, but for a lot more money. This watch retailed for around $500 when I bought it. I think it was like a little under $475, something like that. Hard to remember. We're going back 5 years, so Lume is the luminescent material that you get on the handset, and we'll take a look at the Lume at the end of the video. This is also a paint. I think these are applied indices, but there's no trim ring. Like there's no like decorative trim ring or anything like that on there. Let me get some better light here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's no decorative chrome trim ring or anything like that on it. It's a really handsome watch, by the way. Sometimes I forget how nice this watch really is until I pick it up. Finishing is very nice. The polishing on the sides of the case, and then the brushing on the top. It's pure Seiko. Great build quality of what you expect. I'm a big fan of Seiko still. I just think Seiko prices have gone, well, yeah, I don't know what the percentage of increase is across the board, but it's kind of like that with everything. Everything, I think, after COVID took like a price reset. And sometimes I think that they do these things just to reset the way we live. Like they come up with these crazy things that happen, and then all of a sudden they just use it as an excuse to just jack the price of everything up. So raw materials go up. Labor goes up to manufacture everything. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy, but it's hard to say where the percentage is, like what is the percentage that they jack these things up. But I know that a King Turtle, which is basically a turtle that has same probably the form factor is probably the same, but it has, it's got like a waffle dial in it. It's got a sapphire crystal, and it already has the ceramic bezel inserted in it. But everything else is pretty much the same. The movement's the same. Like I said, all the case dimensions are the same. I don't know what else they're giving you. But when you, I was gonna save this point until later. I think it might make better sense if I do that. I was gonna make a point, but I'll try to make that point about what the expensive watch is, and if you were gonna mod or build yourself one versus buying one, because it's getting so expensive today. Some people have gone the route of actually making their own, but that's not cheap. That's not as cheap anymore, and I'll explain why in a moment. So you see the chapter ring and everything, it's all black in there. There's no like misalignment issues. Everything lines up good. The bezel action, the detent, really nice. I don't really have too much more to say about this watch, guys. It is, you know, if you're used to Seiko and you like Seiko a lot, if you've never tried a Turtle, it's probably one of the most comfortable watches that you'll ever wear. And I think I said this before in my last video that I did with I think it was in the tuna can video I did. Seiko has a way of just taking the wrist. They think about the ergonomics and the articulation of the wrist first before they design a watch case. And it's evident in pretty much everything that they've done. Even the really, really big watches, like, I mean, this is considered by some to be a rather large watch. I have a 7-inch wrist, so for me, this watch here, as long as it's not over 45 millimeters, I'm good to go. Anything over 45, I'm not interested in it, because that's just that's like Invicta territory, and nothing against Invicta. It's an acquired taste. It's not my taste, but if you like it, all the power to you. Anyway, that is it. So the Hardlex glass, we're going to talk about the crystal, and then we're going to keep it moving. This has Hardlex on it. Just so you know, I didn't go and buy a sapphire glass for this. I could have, I could have done that and then had it fitted, resealed, the whole 9 yards. I tend to use a watchmaker who does it. They repressure test everything. They change all the gaskets whenever they have the watches open. Tends to be a little more expensive, this guy, but good work isn't cheap and cheap work isn't good, right? So just always keep that mantra in mind, because it's very important. It's important for your wallet too. It's really important for your watch, because if you have somebody get in there and they hack it all up on you, and then you're stuck with a piece of junk. I've had a few places that I had sent my watches to over the years, and I kind of learned the hard way. It really does. Think about when you have a mechanical watch, it's like a car. It's really important to remember that maintenance and just the way you take care of it, the better you take care of it, you service it, and you keep the watch going, you're going to have less problems with the internals down the road. Same thing with a car. Find yourself a good mechanic, find yourself a good watchmaker. Same thing, there's no difference. So anyway, Hardlex is basically one step above mineral glass. It's got slightly better scratch resistance than mineral glass. I kind of think it's kind of hardened, hence the word Hardlex. I think they do some type of heat treating to it. It can be scratched. People bitch about it all the time, but you know what? You can buy watch crystals. You can even go to like Alibaba and buy watch crystals. I've done it before. I had some watch crystals custom made, and it's not cheap, but if you really like the watch, you can do it. Anyway, we're going to keep the video moving. We're going to put the Seiko over here for now. And then this is the SD1977 in blue and in black. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Steeldive is a Chinese brand, and it's you can buy this same watch without branding on it. I've seen it advertised on AliExpress. A lot of what you can find from Steeldive can be had without the logo. I don't really like the logo, but over time I've kind of gotten used to it. So now it's like these are my 4th and 5th Steeldives that I bought. I bought these two colors because The price was $81, man. And when I explain to you what you get for $81, you're going to be like, holy crap. Hey, the one thing I didn't tell you, I forgot this. You got drilled lugs on this guy too. You see that right there? See, drilled lugs I love, man. I like watches, tool watches, especially with drilled lugs. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of falling off the wagon here a little bit. It's just so much easier to get a strap on and off with drilled lugs. Just why watch companies give us tool watches without drilled lugs? You know what? I would rather the watch company, if they're going to give me a rubber strap, don't give me the rubber strap. I don't even want the rubber strap. Don't even give it to me. Just give me the friggin' drilled lugs, because I can't do that on my own. A strap I could find. I could find the strap any day of the week. I cannot drill my own lugs. It's not recommended. If you do it, you're really running the risk of, you got to really know what the hell you're doing, but you're running the risk of ruining the watch case. I did look it up, and it is possible. It can be done, but somehow I just feel like even if you had like a pro do it, I still think they'd screw it up. I have that feeling. I just have that feeling that it's not as easy as it may sound. These two watches actually have drilled lugs, which brings me to a point I'll make. So going in Steeldive, when you think of Steeldive, think of they like to use a lot of 4-digit number conventions, similar to let's say the watch was introduced in the year 1996. I think the SD1976 is the I think that's the SKX. I think that's the same. Like that's their version of the SKX. That's like their generic version. And they use this numbering convention, right? So if you see, like the last watch I did was the Seiko Steeldive SD1975, which was the year 1975. I guess that year that Seiko would have introduced it. They would have introduced that style. I'm sorry, I'm really tongue-tied here. It's sometimes I trip over my. Sometimes I trip. I'm sorry. I do it. I can't edit these things yet. So please bear with me. Okay. So in this case, SD1977. I tried to look up what watch this would homage. I wasn't able to find anything. I couldn't find shit on it. So I don't know if this was like an early Turtle. The Turtle came out in 1970, so I'm sorry, was this a later Turtle? I can't tell, but just so you know, they call this watch the Slim Abalone, which when I first saw when I saw the description of it, I'm like, abalone. When I think of abalone, I think of those really cool watch dials that have like different iridescent colors, like yellows and blues and greens and reds. I always thought it was like some kind of like shale or stone or something, right? But it turns out abalone is actually a type of clam. I think it's like in the clam family. So people eat them, and then their shells they use for jewelry, watch dials, all kinds of stuff. But no two pieces of abalone are alike. Each one is totally unique. It's like a fingerprint. So you can get some really cool looking watch dials with abalone. So I guess the abalone kind of looks like, you see how the watch is styled, the way the case is. I think looking at it from a bird's eye view or the top view, it would be kind of reminiscent of what you'd find. Like if you look up abalone as a clam, it should look similar to that. I don't think it's going to be exactly alike, but I guess it's supposed to kind of replicate or homage that clam. I guess I don't know what the frig I'm saying. But I'm going to talk about the specifications of this watch, and then we're going to roll through some other things. I'm kind of losing it here. The specifications on the SD1977, the width, that would be, side to side without the crown, is 42 millimeters. So it's actually, it's really crazy when you wear this watch. You're like, man, this watch does not feel like it's 42 millimeters. It actually feels small. It feels like it's around the 40 millimeter. If I had to, like, when I think about it, I'm like, this watch does not seem like a 42 millimeter watch, but they're talking about the side to side, right? So the thickness, that would be the bottom of the case back up to the top of the bezel, is 13.45 millimeters, and lug to lug, that's our here to here, would be 47.80 millimeters. This watch is around 1,079 grams with the rubber strap. It is a 200 meters of water resistance dive watch. Now, Steeldive does not, there's no certify, like they don't certify it at, like, in other words, there's no PADI or anything like that. Literally, the Chinese are just taking, really popular styles of Seikos, Omegas, Rolex, Squale, and so many others. They're just taking really popular watch designs. I wouldn't say that they're copying it at 100%, but they're just tweaking it a little bit, and then they're producing these things. They're throwing movements in them, such as the NH34, which is the NH34 is actually a GMT movement. NH35, which is a no date, or it has a date. You can just delete the date wheel and then you have a no date. NH36, which is a day date, which we just looked at in the Seiko, and so the movements, theoretically, the movements are exactly the same. So the Seiko movement 4R35, 4R36 is the same architecture as an NH35, NH36. I did do a little bit of reading on that. I think if you're in the watches, you probably already know this. The difference really being in that, Seiko brands the weighted rotor, so it's in their watch that comes out of Seiko factory, whereas the generic version of the NH series or SII movements will have, basically, there's no branding on it. It's just a weighted rotor. There's nothing on it. I guess if you wanted to, like, if you were going to make a watch, you could probably pay extra to have a custom rotor inscribed with your company's name on it. But honestly, I find that so tacky for companies to do that, especially when they had nothing to do with that movement. It's different when they're doing some work to it to tweak it, and then they can put their name on it. There are some companies that do that, but they don't just slap a movement in there. Well, unless you're Invicta, you don't just slap a movement in there, throw a sticker on the rotor, and then call it a day. It's a little more to it. Like, some people will take like a Salita SW200 and they'll hot rod it. They'll do a couple things to it. They may decorate it. I know Steinhardt does it with the. They do it with, I think they do it with an SW 200. I think they also do it with the SW300 that is in some of their watches. They actually will put a gold Steinhardt rotor in there, and I think they do some perlaging in there to the movement to decorate it. But they also, their movement's regulated, so it's not just taking a movement out of the box, popping it into the back of the watch, and then just sending it off. I think they do a little more. They do just a little more caring, so that. It's not just out of the box, off the shelf kind of thing. What I was going to say about these watches, I probably should have prefaced everything that I just said with, if you're going to build a watch, you're going to have, a cost of all the materials. And then if you're unable to actually put the watch together yourself, you'll have to pay a professional to do it. I can tell you it's probably around $250 to have a watch assembled. That's just a ballpark. Maybe a little more, depends on your watchmaker. If you want to think about how much value that these watches are, let's discuss. So you have, you got a case. If you go to like the Monkey Mods or any place like that sells mod parts, a case like this, or even an SKX case, is probably going to cost you between $50, $60, maybe more. That watch case comes with the bezel. Oh, I'm sorry, no, doesn't come with the bezel. It's just a case. So it's the case, and then it has a case back, which is sterile. There's nothing on it. But you have to buy the bezel, all right? You got to buy the bezel. You got to buy the insert, right? You got to buy the dial. You got to buy the handset. You got to buy the movement. You got to buy the crown. So let's talk about that. What is that? Let's just say some ballpark stuff. Like, let's say the cost is like $50 for the case, or maybe even $100. It depends. I don't know. Like, let's say it's $75. Let's say $75 for the case. The bezel, right? Another $30. So now you're up at what? 105. You got the movement. That's like $50, right? 155. Crown's like 30, right? You're up close to $200. You know, by the time you get done doing all that, you got the chapter ring if you want to put one in, all these little parts a la carte, and then let's say everything cost about $300, right? For all the parts, everything laid out. You're going to have it assembled if you can't do it yourself. If you can do it yourself, $300 is still a lot of money. You're already over the cost of this guy by double, triple. This cost was $80 for this watch. Cost on this $80, right? We already blew past that in the case and the bezel on the other comparison to build a watch. You can't build the watch for under what these guys are selling it for. Even though some people are bitching about, Steeldive prices are going through the roof. Steeldive prices maybe they have gone up a little bit, but I still think it's a good deal. This watch to me, maybe I shouldn't say this, but even if this watch were $300, I would still think it's a good deal. I still think this is a $300 watch all day long. I do. That's my monologue to this. So you got Steeldive, you got San Martin, you got Addy's Dive, you got Pagani Designs, you got all these AliExpress watches, right? I did a video recently, it didn't get a lot of views, but if you want to check it out, go ahead. I'm thinking about redoing it because I don't know if maybe I just screwed the video up or it just ran too long. It was not done well. Probably going to wind up redoing it, sans the suggest that I had in there. But it was basically, I was pitting some Chinese AliExpress watches versus, and these were homages to the Rolex Submariner. And then I had them pitted against, or in comparison to, a few Swiss-made homages. So just to see where the quality difference was. I do find that the Swiss homages were slightly better built. And that's my opinion. Some people would argue with me all day long about that's not true, but honestly, I have the watches in front of me. I'm never going to talk about watches that I don't have in front of me. I don't do videos that way. I don't do pop-ups and then talk shit about the watch that I don't have. There's people doing that, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why somebody would waste their time watching a video when somebody's bitching or talking about a watch that they don't actually have in front of them. I think that's just, maybe you have an opinion on it, but I've seen people take it way too far. Like, it's one thing to use the watch as an example, like say, oh, here is the watch that this homage is, and have a pop-up somewhere in the I don't have that. I would love to have that. But to me, that's a good way, a good choice to use that technology, or to use that ability to do that. That's a good way to add in some more education on stuff. Or maybe perhaps there's an older watch I want to talk about and say, hey, this watch back in the day would have been, but I'm not going to talk shit about watches that I can't hold, because you can have an opinion on something, but I think when you crap on something that you don't have or don't own, I think when the negative comments come out, I never understood that. Like, maybe it's me, but for the life of me, man, I don't own a Rolex Sub. I would love to have one, but am I going to say that it's a piece of junk or it's overpriced? No, I'm not. There's so many people that have that watch, and they want that watch, right? That watch still commands that money. Remember, value is directly linked to what someone is willing to pay. Simple economics. All right, let's get into the watch. So we talked about the specifications of this watch. This watch is very well made. It's very well finished. You can see the side of the case. It's well polished, right? And you have, we're going to talk about from the top of the watch down. So the one of the things that I'm not crazy about with this watch is the sound of the bezel when you turn it. It's okay. It's really gritty, you know what I mean? It's like hard teeth. It's like a pirate. But I put some watchmaker's lubricant in there, hoping that it would kind of seep in there and quiet things down a little bit. It kind of did, but that's the only real criticism I have of this watch. That, and I don't like the logo. But sapphire up here. So they call it synthetic sapphire crystal. It is a real sapphire. It's got a ceramic bezel insert with a 120 click bezel, which we just listened to. The side of the bezel is, I guess that's a coin edge. Yep. Signed crown. You got some light brushing on the top. I think it's done well. And let me see if I can grab some more light. My wife's got this all messed up in here. Okay. That might be a little better. Lighting's still not good in here. It's better than where I was doing these videos, but it's still not where I want it yet. The dial on this guy is flat black. There is anti-reflective coating on the underside of this crystal. The indices are filled with BGW9 Superluminova, glows blue, and we'll take a look at that at the end of the video. The hands are like a stick hands, which are kind of reminiscent of the Seiko Marine Master style hands, which I love. I just love the way that this watch dial is laid out. I bought the blue one, I bought the black one, and I'm fighting with myself about not getting the green one. I might actually go and get the green one because I don't know. I don't usually do like full sets, like like trading cards, like sports cards, where you're like, oh, I gotta get the complete set. I gotta get the entire team. Well, I want to get the entire team I'm not crazy about green as a color, but I do like the way that one looks. I think that's going to look really cool. When I show you the blue one in a second, you'll understand why. All right, so this is just a date. This is an NH35, by the way, which is perfect. This is 200 meters of water resistance. Okay, so in here, there's no like chapter ring aside from the gradients here. So there is a chapter ring, but it's kind of printed on the dial. Watch is very well laid out. Looks like it's starting to tick now. You can even see the central second hand has that stoplight version, red light from the Seiko. It's a Seiko design. But yeah, I think Steeldive did a nice job on this. What I was going to say was, whoever's making these watches, do I think Steeldive is actually their own company? Maybe, but I kind of think the company that makes these watches also makes San Martin, also makes others, like other brands. Like, I don't know about Addy's Dive. I read somewhere that Addy's Dive kind of split off. I don't know how true that is. It's hard to say. You really can't. The transparency out of China on these things is, it's like, I guess it's a freaking wristwatch. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the owners of these companies had a falling out or whatever the hell it is. I don't know how the economics work there. Don't know how. I'm just saying that I think they're not meant. Addy's Dive used to be manufactured by the folks that make Steeldive. But the folks that make Steeldive make a lot of other brands, I think, too. And the reason why I think that is because I got, this case. When I did that video, I had like 3 dive cases that were exactly the same case. They just changed the sticker. I really believe that these things are made in the same factory. I really do believe that. Sans, maybe Sugess. I don't know. Maybe Sugess is the same too. I don't know. It's really, really hard to get a handle on that. Anyway, I'm kind of running over a half hour here. I'm going to kind of blow through this. I'm going to try to anyway. So these have drilled lugs as well. 20 millimeters in here is the lug width for your strap. This is not the strap that you get. I did a video recently on the FKM rubber straps that you can get from WOCCI Straps, which is You could buy them through Amazon for about 20 bucks. I'm going to show you the strap that came with the watch, and you'll probably see why I changed the strap. Really ugly strap. But on this strap, you get the nice stainless steel buckle and all that. It's really nice. These things fit. This watch is really comfortable when you wear it with this rubber strap on it. It's just so nice. Anyway, but that's kind of, and then you can see the case back there. It's a solid case back with the Steeldive logo. So here's the blue one. You can get, you see that? You see, let me see, you see the light catching that? Yeah, that's cool. The blue one. Isn't the blue one really nice? You know, and I put a navy blue strap on this one. Just a really sharp watch, you know. And the same thing, you got that really gritty, really tactile sounding. I don't know. It's not the sweetest sounding bezel insert that I've ever heard, but I don't care. I'm not like widgeting with them. I'm not like sitting at my desk doing that all day like some people. I don't do that. But I did put a little bit, like I said, I did put a little bit of watchmaker's lubricant to try to quiet things down a little bit. But anyway, the green one is going to be very, very, very similar to how you have that, you know, that sunburst effect in there. Really cool. Everything is the same on this watch, build quality wise, as the one I just showed you. You got the drilled lugs, right? You see them in there. Anyway, really good stuff from our friends over there at Steeldive, man. Some good, some nice watches there. They do a great job, guys. If you've never tried Steeldive, give them a shot. If you like watches like I do. Look, I love watches, man, but the problem is that watches are friggin' expensive. And when people ask me, hey, what do you think, man? What really is low budget? What are you talking about? Anything that's $1,000 or, I'm sorry, anything that's under $1,000 is low budget. Anything that's like 1,000 and up you're going up. You're gonna keep going up, right? You can get a lot of great watches for a little over $1,000, but honestly, like, do you really need to spend that much? Like, are these watches comparative to those watches? I don't think they're that far off, to be honest. In fact, I'd have to say they really do. They almost get to that Seiko quality for a whole lot less. I mean, I've been saying this. It's hard to bitch about some things on this watch for a watch that's less than $100. Yes, the prices over there have gone up, but I'm told that there's a 11/11 sale. It's a November 11th sale, so keep your eyes peeled. If you don't have AliExpress, get AliExpress, man. AliExpress is basically a Chinese Amazon. You can get some deals, man. You can really, if you go in there and you type in what you're looking for, let's say you're looking for a Steeldive and you know what the model is, put it in there, and they'll keep inundating you with like sales on these watches. So, you know, you're going to get a lot of notices from them. I get them all day long. I try to ignore them because I don't want to buy any more friggin' watches. I think I'm at 40 watches now. My wife's like, you bought more watches, didn't you? I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't buy more watches. I just around. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, if you're not subscribing to me, hit the subscribe button, man. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you like the video, smash the like button because that helps the algorithm, keeps me moving in the right direction. I do promise that one day I'll do a better job with the video production on this, but for right now, the cell phone gets the job done until I can figure out how to use the software. I'm not a tech person, so for me, it's kind of, I got to take my time and I got to learn how to do these things, but I'll probably redo some of these videos as I get better with the production. Right now, there's no production. This is literally just me talking in front of a cell phone at my desk. That's it. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for taking the time. We're going to take a look at the Lume real quick. We're going to wrap things up and get out of here. So let me just charge the Seiko up real quick. Of course, you know, you guys know about Lume Bright. Lume Bright is no joke. No joke to to those of us who love watches. Doesn't take much to get these things going, man. Yeah, so let me just knock that light out real quick. There we go. Yeah, baby. That's your Lume Bright. Seiko does not disappoint. Yeah, and the bezel insert doesn't disappoint either. This is actually a loomed bezel insert. I think I got this from loomedbezelinserts.com, I think. I don't know if they're still around anymore. Who knows? But you can. I think you can get these off of Nomoki Mods too. Seiko Mods. Right? I think you can. So that's that. So let's take a look at the SDs. All right. This is BGW9. I believe this glows blue, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the bezel insert's loomed on this guy too. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually C3. Yeah, so C3, yeah, it does have a loomed insert. C3 is basically the almost like, it's like the Swiss version of Super Luminova. All right, so that is the that's that one, and then this is the black ones, just so you know. I don't think there's anything different about this one. It's pretty much more of the same. Yeah, man. If you like Lume, you get plenty of it with these guys. No joke. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I got for today's video. Like I said, if you're not subscribing, perhaps you will. And I do appreciate you taking the time if you made it this long. I'll see you guys in the next episode of Low Budget Time. And as always, take care, stay safe, be well, and God bless.